Hello everybody, this is a little exposition with some relics, mostly found with metal detector. The telephone here is a British field telephone. Of course, it's not a metal detector found. There are some foot powder tin cans. US troops used this to keep the feet dry and prevent infections. On the right there are some glass containers used by US troops and found in the trench. This is a tin container for oil to lubricate the rifle barrels. It was used by a US soldier on 1945 in the Gothic line. The one with the blue cap is for Colgate toothpaste. In those times, toothpaste was also in glass containers. There are also little bottles who contained pills to purify water, used by US soldiers. There is a biscuit tin container from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. It was owned by the Brazilian soldier fighting around Montese in north of Italy. After eating the biscuits, he left the empty box somewhere in the mountains around Montese. Here in the back there are the tails of the mortar shells more commonly used in the Gothic line in the north of Italy by US troops and German troops. Since the surroundings of the Gothic line there are a lot of mountains, mortars were the ideal weapon to hit the enemy, used by both parts. The orange and black containers are German containers for butter or fat. Since First World War, Germans understood the usefulness of the fat or butter during the trench war, so supplied the soldier with the opposite containers for the fat. Here there is a German dog tag and a US whistle. 2 Oilers for Garand, lost by some US soldier in the Gothic line, and a roller of medical gauze, partially used. Probably it was used to cover a wound, and the remaining part was thrown away. Here there are some canvas belts, used in British for machine guns. German had reusable and recyclable metal belts. They were more environmentally conscious. Here there are mixed metals, buttons, buckles, German and US. They lost a lot of this. This one is a German mess tin. There are the rest of a German ammo push and a sheath for the bayonet. And this is a US mess tin. Here there are a lot of covers for tins of the rations of US troops. Usually it was ration C or ration K. You can still see what they used to eat if you find where they camped. If you're lucky enough, the time didn't destroy these flimsy tins. Some of them are still very nice. This is for candies. These are coffee tins. This is an axe used by the German sappers. There are 2 German camp stoves, and this is what remained of the US beer bottle. US soldier drank a lot of beer, both in glass and in tins. Here there are some bottles. The white one is for blood plasma, the other is for whiskey. They were in a US dump. On the right, the first one here, it's not a bomb, but it's a US container for insecticide. The other are English tin containers for cigarettes. This is a German Henkelknife. Then some lighters found in the trench, a can opener, a part of the tripod of the Browning machine gun. I remember I read in the history of a US battalion that they placed a machine gun on top of a mountain to fire against the German on another mountain. I went there, I tried to understand where was the best place to use the machine gun against the German, and I found the place with some cartridges, many part tin cans, many metal rings of the cartridge belt, and this part of the tripod of the Browning. It was a nice day. A can opener, a tool for the British grenade mills, also 2 tins of sardines used by Germany in a trench, some US mess tins with some cutlery.